PlayStation Starfield fans have crossed the line. They did the only thing that should never be allowed in the world. And that is obviously they ganged up on a hot girl.
Something like this pops up every few months, and before we get into today's video, I would like to state that usually I don't even see it. I will have no idea if there's some Twitter thread about me, or Reddit, or 4chan, or whatever else, unless I am told. My mentions are so filtered that I won't see you tag me. Like, I literally just have no idea this is even happening. And if people do tell me enough that it's happening, I generally don't care. And the reason for that is because
The Act Man probably should learn a thing or two from this woman.
I frankly feel like I am too old, and I've felt that way for a long time. Like, I'm not worried about what someone's saying about me on YouTube or on Twitter. I am a grown woman with bills to pay. I'm worried about taxes. My sister had a baby yesterday. Like, I couldn't be less concerned about, like, what some dudes are tweeting. You know?
Why exactly should you be worried about the fact that your sister had a baby yesterday? I mean, congrats, but kind of slightly questionable, I guess.
So I don't ever read any content about myself at all. But this one time, I wanted to make a video about it, just to, like, say my piece, because this is starting to happen so frequently. And I'm like, let me just say the thing and then get back out and, like, go back to minding my own business. There was another guy who was like, I'm so sorry about what all the PlayStation Brazilian fans have been saying to you. I don't speak Portuguese. Wouldn't have known it was a thing if you haven't told me.
Isn't Brazil Spanish, mostly? Honestly, don't know. Not Brazilian. Not even American. Thank God.
B, wouldn't have understood it. Thank you. That is a nice thing to say, but literally will not know it exists unless you tell me. I prefer you just don't tell me. I'm good. That is the most important thesis of this video, but there's another thing that I want to say as well. So, a particularly upstanding citizen of the internet here tweeted this in response to me playing Starfield. He said, Alana Pierce should be fired for promoting Xbox games on a public platform like this. Extremely unprofessional and demonstrates a lack of loyalty and seriousness to PlayStation, her employer, at Herman Holst, at
Wow. I never understood this. I never understood the PlayStation war against Xbox. Both platforms are shit. Get a life, losers. Like, why? Why be mad at each other? Both of you are getting the absolute crumbs of existence and paying for overpriced games. Why? Why even fight amongst each other? It's like you're already both down in the gutter, so why even do it in the first place, honestly? Xbox fans are going, oh, look at us, we have Game Pass. We only pay $10 a month and get all these games for free. If Game Pass was actually good for you because it gave you free games and it lost money to the company, the Game Pass wouldn't exist. The Game Pass is literally them playing you, because chances are you're paying for a whole year of Game Pass just to play one $50 game. Maybe once every 2 years. Congratulations, you just played yourself.
Corey Pollock. Which, as an aside, Corey and I spent about 10 minutes before a meeting today talking about the stuff we were doing in Starfield and how much we were enjoying it, so good luck with that one. I'm also quite confident that if I DM'd Herman and were like, hey, how are you liking Starfield? He'd be like, it's great! But yes, Bethesda.net shared this with me, and my reply was, you don't need to share it with me. Like, never feel like you need to share this with me. I don't care. And it happens all the time. Actually, there was one time that it happened, where...
Did anyone share this with her? I don't see her unless she's one of these ats.
I didn't even know it was happening, that a bunch of people were very mad at me because I love Tunic, until Phil Spencer DM'd me and was like, I'm sorry, this is happening. It's like, I didn't even know. I would never know unless you told me. But yes, we're going to talk about it very quickly today, just to, like, get it out there about, like, how absurd this misconception.
Bruh, imagine being a girl on the internet and you do a thing and someone says bad. And there's a bunch of guys instantaneously in your DMs saying, I'm sorry this happened to you, queen. Just in general, not actually even saying anything bad about her. But this is a common thing. Bruh. And you wonder why some women are affording new expensive luxury cars by doing feet pics online. You need help. You need a lot of help. And probably the only level of help that can actually do anything at this point is a rope and a branch. So good luck with that.
Option is, and then I'll just get back to playing video games, because that's what I do. So for reference, I do have this person blocked, which is very uncommon. I only have 700 people blocked on Twitter, and, you know, I have 500,000 followers. Like, I do not block many people at all. I would say 50%.
I got like 3 people blocked. Well, actually, a lot more, like 10 people blocked, and most of them are some kind of you know, those crypto bots that post a lot of gunk, and that's pretty much it. Wow. 700, not even that much, bruh. That's half the planet, honestly, almost.
Of those blocks are because somebody did something and I found it funny to block them. Sometimes there are people who I suspect, like this one, I'm not actually sure, I don't know who this is, people will warn me about. Like, I'll have enough people be like, hey, this person is doing this, or like harassing you or whatever. And they've done it frequently enough that I will just go and block them based on someone telling me to. Like, I haven't even seen the stuff myself. I'm like, okay, I've registered that enough people are mentioning this that I should probably block this person. In any...
that honestly sounds pretty not smart, not gonna lie. That sounds like the thing you shouldn't actually be doing. Oh, look at that. People are saying me to do things. Well, better jump off a cliff in that case. Everyone's telling me it's fun. Yeah, you should not do that, probably, ever.
In any case, the replies to the tweet are quite funny. You're just like, they had to turn their replies off because people were dunking on them so hard for this absurd take. And it is absurd. This is like just ridiculous, and I'm sure most of you know that. But there have been some sane people who've asked me questions about how this works as well, and I'm like,
insane or
address
sane?
it. I work at Santa Monica Studio, and I love working there. It's the best job I've ever had. I'm so happy there. I love my job. I love the people I work
what is a Santa Monica studio? I don't know.
with. Like, I think I work at one of the best game studios in the entire world. That is my honest opinion of working in SMS. I think the studio is incredible. And
No
so
idea
many
what that
people who
is.
have so much talent and experience, and like I said, I think some of the best in the entire industry. That is my stance on the place that I work. Similarly, I also have friends who work at Bethesda, and I have friends who work at Xbox, and I have friends who work at Nintendo. When you work in the industry for a long time, I'm over 10 years now, you end up making friends who work a lot of places. And I think one thing that people don't realize is that the
That is, by the way, what you should do. Because if you're ever, for example, trying to get a job somewhere, your resume doesn't matter for shit. But if someone actually can put in a good word for you, that matters so much more. Oh, I actually know this person. They're actually really okay. That matters so much more than anything, honestly, else.
Console wars don't really exist inside the industry. In fact, there are people on my direct team at Santa Monica Studio who came from Xbox, who just worked at an Xbox studio. Santa Monica Studio will have people leave, who will then go to work at Microsoft-owned studios. Like, I get that these, like, console fanboys think that there's, like, this constant war, but the truth is, the games industry has people sharing around all the time between many of these companies because there are only so many jobs available in game development. And if there's anything consistent for all of the people that I know who work at PlayStation or who work at Nintendo or who work at Xbox, it's that they don't care. The reality of working in game development, or at least my reality, this is my experience. Of course, other people may have had different experiences. I'd be very surprised if any of it differs very much. I'm not talking about people who work in PR and marketing whose job it is to sell the brand. That's not my job. All I actually care about is doing my job and doing it well. Of course, I want people to like the stuff I'm working on.
What is your job, by the way?
And of course, I want it to be successful. But I pretty similarly want every other game in the industry to be the same way. Working in the games industry is amazing and exciting. And I've been in it for as long as I have because I love video games. But it's exciting because realistically, the technology is actually in its infancy. Like, we're still figuring out what we're doing. People are making huge leaps.
Well, that's pretty fucking obvious by the amount of shitty games you release. Yeah. Well, the technology's not at its infancy. The technology's doing completely fine. Leave the technology alone. It's incompetent developers and people who have absolutely no clue what the fuck they're doing. They're the only idiots actually working in the field of gaming, so they can't even be properly fired, and creating all these problems for us. Technology's fine. Leave it alone. It's the developers who are absolute garbage monkeys who don't even understand left from right.
Every year. The way video games look now is going to look so different in 50 years' time because the industry still has so much room to progress. Frankly, I see video games as like almost limitless because
I mean, 20 years after, probably, Bethesda's newest game will still look like Skyrim. I mean, there's a lot of place to improve. Don't get me wrong, but I have a feeling most people are not trying to improve to that place. Todd Howard literally just came out and said, well, if Starfield's not running good on your rig, then you should probably buy a new rig. The game is not badly optimized. It only crashes a couple of times for the highest end PCs, so it's your fault. Buy a new computer. Wow.
As the hardware progresses, video games can progress. Like, we can't even fathom the kind of games that we'll be playing in 20 years. Everything is about technical limitation, and there is not necessarily a cap on hardware progression. Thus, there is not necessarily really a cap on game dev progression. So when a big game comes out and people are excited about it, the whole industry is excited about it. I am excited for my friends who work at Xbox. Like I said, virtually every dev, when something like this happens, is just excited about it. Like a big blockbuster game.
Actually, that's, by the way, completely false if anyone's wondering. There is a cap on, what we can actually do. There is a cap resource-wise, there is a cap technology-wise, there is a cap in future technologies, there is a cap in our understanding. Everything's, by the way, completely capped, by the way.
It's taken 10 years to make and has a huge budget. Like, everyone else is like, oh my god, I can't wait to play it, let's play it. Corey, they tagged him, but somebody else shared a tweet where Corey is talking about how excited he was to play Starfield. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? It's so absurd. The people in the games industry like and care about video games as a whole. I am not concerned about sales or pieces of hardware or content. I am concerned about doing my job well and making a good video game and enjoying whatever.
Oh, she's a dev! Okay, that makes sense. I guess? Please tell me you didn't work on Anthem.
Someone else makes too. I have always loved
Or more precisely would be, please tell me you... How... Since Anthem was made in pretty much like 5 days, what do we say here? Did you work or did you not work on Anthem? Which is the correct one that we use in this situation? I'm not even sure.
Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo. I used to work at Xbox. I have 2 Nintendo tattoos. I currently work at PlayStation. It would not support...
Oh, that's a fucking red flag and 5 more. Wow. Why would you ever get a Nintendo... What? No wonder they're calling you a Bruh. Hey, people are gonna demand you get like a PlayStation tattoo now on 5. Why would you have a fucking tattoo of a gaming company? Bruh. Why? That's... Oh my lord. That's hilarious.
Surprise me if I continue to work for all 3 of these companies as I continue in the games industry, because I love
Probably.
I love the stuff they make. I love that they're making different things. Like, I'm just so happy to be here, and it is not my...
I mean, let me explain to you one of the greatest thing in humanity's history that will probably never go away, if we're completely being honest here. It's about specialized companies. It's a great thing. So specialized companies work like this. It's a really small field. Not a lot of people go into it. Okay, that means, for example, when we're talking about like game development, AAA game development companies, well, you don't have many choices, right? You only have a couple of them. So the thing is, what happens in these extremely specialized or closed off jobs is, well, you can get fired in one for incompetence, and you're gonna get hired by your competitor while they fully well know that you got fired for incompetence, but they don't really have a choice because someone incompetent in a very niche field is still more valuable than someone incompetent. Who was the guy... who was the guy who destroyed a company? I forgot, but it happened recently. Who was the guy who completely just destroyed a multi-billion-dollar company? The reality is, having a resume where it says, well, I destroyed a multi-billion-dollar company, is more impressive than having a resume that doesn't say you destroyed a multi-billion-dollar company. That's a very interesting thing about the world. You know? This is why some people do legitimately fall upwards. Because, it's a small field. You don't actually have like so many people that actually fit the position, fit high level managerial positions. That's the reality of it. There's not a lot of department heads going around. In a lot of cases, when you are going, if you're like trying to gun for a high level position, your competition may be actually like 2 or 3 people at best. Okay? But while you're getting for like a medium level position, your competition could be potentially 20 people depending on the job. That's real life for you.
My job or the job of anyone like me to worry about like Starfield being successful or not. Like I just want other video games to be successful, especially when they're single player and don't have microtransactions. Like that is the kind of games that I want to make forever. So
I wonder if PR contacted her, by the way, because they should have.
Always want every other game in the games industry that follows that same pattern to be as successful as possible. I want it to be a commercial success. And so like all these console fanboys who care about this, like again, I know most of you don't and most of you are rational people. People who actually work in the game development,
That's not
everybody's
true.
just excited about video games.
Most
man.
people
like,
are irrational.
They don't care who made them. They're just happy that all their friends who work in dev made something cool. And like, of course you have multiple people who jump between companies, so you will end up working with someone who worked at Bethesda or end up working with somebody who worked at Santa Monica Studio. Like it's just the way the industry works. The stuff that you think matters does not matter. It maybe matters to a marketing department or a PR department. I don't know. But I can also tell you a little bit of my experience with the marketing.
The irony of this is the marketing department and PR department are probably the second and third most important departments in the company. Obviously, finance is above everything. If finance says you fucking didn't make 20% more than you should have, well, congratulations, your bonus literally got yeeted and deleted. Ah, yes. And you know what that means? Well, that means that finance just saved the company money, which means finance is getting their bonus. I fucking love being in finance. It's literally the best position. I have yelled at so many people that I shouldn't even have the right to yell on. And no one even fucking dared to tell me anything. They just sat there and fucking took it. It's beautiful.
PR departments. So when I worked at Xbox, PlayStation still gave me a PlayStation 4 and they gave me early access to games. There was no hesitation there whatsoever. They still gave me access to PlayStation stuff. Now I work at PlayStation and Xbox kind of hesitated a little to begin with and now give me access to codes for Xbox games. But they did used to give me like all the cool stuff, like the controllers and stuff. I don't get that stuff from them anymore. Like I clearly like was moved around a mailing list.
Well, yeah, probably, obviously, right?
A little bit. PlayStation didn't care. Nintendo also didn't care. They gave me everything when I worked at Xbox, didn't care at all. And nobody at PlayStation or Sony at any point ever has ever told me not to talk about games on other platforms. In reality, the thing that I do have restrictions on is promoting PlayStation. I no longer get early access to PlayStation games. I can't do an early impressions of a PlayStation game. I can't do like my first hour gameplay of a PlayStation game. I have to buy all my PlayStation games and I buy them on release. There was an ad agency in...
She has to... What? I guess that buying part makes probably sense. Kind of surprised. You'd think they would be given those games? Maybe they have some kind of a recontribution thing. I don't know. But that's surprising. I didn't think they have to buy their games. Like, wow. Are they supposed to also promote the fact that they're buying these games? I don't know. Well, maybe it's just so they say they bought the game. I don't know. That definitely seems like some PR BS.
In Australia that wanted to pay me to make part of an ad for Ratchet and Clank because they knew I was super excited about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, but I guess somebody at Sony said no. I think it's like a totally respectable ethical stance of like, you can talk about Xbox and Nintendo all you want. They have never said anything that would in any way disparage me from doing so or discourage me doing so. I just can't get early access to anything PlayStation related. And I don't get the like fun mailer kits that a lot of...
Oh! No, wait, I just mixed it up. Ignore.
My friends who work in media get. Like they get like the newest PlayStation controllers that they share on social media. I don't get any of that kind of stuff. It's like the opposite
because
of
they
what you
work in media, obviously. By the way, this all can just absolutely switch on a dime. Because it's enough for one company to say, no, you're not going to do this, that everyone instantaneously also adopts a similar stance. Now, will that happen? Probably not. But all of this, by the way, can literally switch on a dime.
As for if I'm biased towards PlayStation or Xbox, the truth is people have been saying this about me in either direction, in both directions, so passionately for as long as I have been speaking about video games. People have called me a PlayStation shill for the last 10 years, and people have called me an Xbox shill for the last 10 years. It depends which side you're on. I have PlayStation fans get very mad at me because I didn't talk about PlayStation enough, and I have Xbox fans get mad at me.
That's a decent answer. But it dodges the question, though, now, doesn't it? Yeah, there's probably a little bit of PR here.
Because apparently I don't like certain...
Because there's no way PR is gonna ignore you. I checked out her channel, 600k subs on YouTube. That's a lot of subs, you know. That voice carries weight. So there's definitely some PR involved in it, because PR actually does check these things out. Well, they don't specifically there are probably companies that do this. I have never worked in a company that actually is so aggressive with the PR, but I imagine that there are probably some very niche companies that are, in the public eye, where PR departments literally have people who do actually track everything you tweet and do online. If you're a known personality that represents the company in some way, shape, or form. But, on average, no company really just, blatantly tracks unless that company's job is literally tied to, having a social media presence or whatnot. Usually they don't track. PR probably is following you, but PR is not actually, actively checking what you are doing. But if PR notices something like this happening, they probably did contact her. That would at least be, my guess on it. I could be wrong because I'm not a PR guy, but I would assume that they know about the situation. They probably have some hand in this easy assumption.
Games because they're on Xbox. The Starfield one's been extra fun because it depends which side of the camp you're on. I really like this game, but I have some criticisms of it, right? That's how I feel about it as a person who just is here and enjoys video games. But because my stance is not like all one or the other, because I'm a human being, the Xbox fans are like, fuck you, Sony shill. And then the PlayStation fans are like, fuck you, you're obsessed with this game, you love it.
There is a chance, by the way, that these people are, by the way, probably explicitly told, hey, you can't go and start shit. Or, at the bare minimum, they are supposed to be expected to be smart enough to not start shit. Because, the higher in a company you are, the more visible you are, the more represent you actually hold. The more you understand that, you just don't speak about some issues. You just ignore them, you bury them, you completely pretend they don't exist. If you have something bad to say, well, never say it publicly. She's definitely aware of those parts. And that's something she will never publicly admit, most likely.
They don't realize that they're both saying the literal opposite thing. And I don't care if people think I'm biased. Again, it's been happening forever. Think whatever you want. But the actual reality of where I land in the video game landscape, as much as I'm sure it's annoying for a lot of people who are console fanboys, is honestly just that I love video games. I love Xbox. I love PlayStation.
Crazy.
I love Nintendo. I just really love video games. That is how I feel. And I want them all to be good. And I'm so happy when any of them are good. Especially, again, if they're single-player microtransaction-free experiences. That is my stance. If you're going to criticize me for anything, it would be that sometimes I get too excited. I can get a bit carried away with how excited I am about certain things, and obviously I share that, and if I have influence on you, you could end up being also very excited. But I can't, turn that off. I'm just happy to be here, man. And of course, saying this is not going to change the minds of any of these people. I know that. But I did want to be clear about the fact that, wow, why is she allowed to talk about Starfield so much? Even sane people have been saying that. People who are not all over the console war brigade. It's not a thing. There's nobody at Sony who's ever going to tell me that I shouldn't talk about Starfield.
I mean, that's a blatant lie, though. You know, well, no, actually, it's not. Probably no one's gonna tell her, hey, you can't talk about Sony. But, do people like that exist? Yes, 100%. Depending on the situation, there's literally gonna be like... Emails like this get sent out en masse, usually, by the way. If something, like, big happens, it's like emails do get sent out en masse to appropriate level people that say, hey, no one talks about this, blah, blah, blah. And it's usually by, the PR or marketing department or whoever. Or, usually PR and marketing departments are mixed kind of together and it's just called under the umbrella marketing in most companies. But some companies have specifically designated PR departments that are different from marketing departments that people don't even know about. There's a difference, because there is a huge difference, by the way. PR is literally the people who, go and tweet nice things about the game and try and make everyone feel special and shit. Marketing is the one that buys off Asmongold and makes him play the game for money. That is the difference.
People have wondered if there were restrictions, and like, no, of course not. There are no restrictions on me liking video games. All you will ever see from the dev community is people supporting other people's games. It's so weird that you like forget that when there's a big release. Like, it's all over Twitter.
I mean, you say that, but we literally just went over Baldur's Gate 3. So, I'm gonna call lies on that one there, Chief.
Twitter. People with PlayStation and people at Nintendo are loving Starfield. That's just the way it is. You get excited about the industry and you're just like happy to be a part of it. So, in conclusion, I don't care about this stuff and you don't need to share it with me. I'd prefer if you didn't most of the time. It's not worth it. Second point is the console war stuff that y'all think matters so much doesn't actually matter to anyone on my level. We all just love video games and are excited.
If she's a basic dev, that's, by the way, pretty much true.
About video games and new video games being good and having a good time at video games. Third, no, there are no restrictions, and no one has ever said anything to me at all about how much I like an Xbox game or how much I like a Nintendo game. Now we can
to me, man, she's actually pretty smart about this. She knows what she's saying. It's pretty well curated language, honestly.
And this never happened. It's done.
10 out of 10. I'm not
gonna get fired because I liked Xbox One.
Yep, 10 out of 10. She knows what she does. Chara Lana Hazard. Chara Lana Hazard. Close enough. Anyway, this is Quizzer said, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.